All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us during your summertime. I don't know how many of you are back in the classroom before students get back, but we're happy you're here. Today, we are joined by the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute's Dr. Khatija. Thank you for joining us, Kakani.
Hi, thanks for having me.
All right. So we are today going to be talking about a game that you can download to your phone for free that talks about the ocean. And so before I continue talking anymore, I'm going to hand it over um, to talk about Fathomverse.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to be here. This is my first Skype a Scientist event, and hopefully we'll be doing more of this later. But yes, today I'm going to talk about a project that we've been working on for the last almost 2 years to put together, and it's called Fathomverse. But before I do that, just a little bit about me. My background's actually in aerospace engineering, but now I found myself lost in the ocean, trying to find ways to observe life more broadly there. And so Fathomverse is one of many ways in which we're trying to open up the ocean to everyone. But especially given some of the kind of challenges we're seeing in the ocean, how the ocean is changing, there's definitely a great need for us to understand it in this time of change. So with that, I'll start sharing my screen because I have a few slides I wanted to share with you all before I show you the actual game itself. And so first and foremost, I want to say that, Fathomverse is a multi-individual, multi-institutional effort to connect community science with ocean exploration. And so besides MBARI, we have members of the team from the Monterey Bay Aquarium, which I'm sure more people here have heard of besides MBARI. Then there's also Internet of Elephants and Anne Ranch. These are game design studios based in Kenya and the Netherlands, respectively. And then last but not least, Computer C Vision AI. And so I always like to start with kind of this view of our planet. And if you look at our planet and it's centered on the Pacific Ocean, you'll notice this is mostly ocean, right? And so when we see images like this, we often wonder, why are we calling this planet Earth when clearly in this view it is a planet ocean? And then this actually gets a little bit more interesting too when you consider the statistics, right? Like the ocean, the surface area represents about 71% of it is ocean. And then almost 99% of the Earth's habitable region, so places where you might find life on our planet, is found in the ocean. Because remember, the ocean's not just a surface, it's a massive volume. And because we've viewed or we've explored so little of this region, scientists estimate anywhere from 30 to 60% of life there is unknown to science. And so there's so much opportunity here to discover new life, to learn more about the life that lives there if we were able to see it and observe it. And so researchers and enthusiasts all over the world are using a lot of different approaches to observe life. While not shown here, like scuba divers with cameras, researchers use example technologies like these, like remotely operated vehicles, autonomous underwater vehicles, drop camera systems where you have these sometimes really sophisticated systems that you can throw over the side of the boat and collect data. And so all of these approaches are ways in which we can observe life. And these observations are helped along by collecting imagery. So that could be images or videos that researchers spend a lot of time trying to analyze. And so what you're seeing in this video is artificial intelligence. So a model that we've trained on data that researchers have collected. And the AI that you see here, the different colored boxes and then the names here, they're what we call predictions. So the models are predicting what's here But for us to really know what's there, we have to review these predictions. We have to verify them. And then we want to improve these models as time goes on. And so this isn't something an individual researcher or research lab can address. And this is where we need help. And so that's why we created Fathomverse. Feel free right now to take your phone out, hit that QR code. It'll take you to our website, and you can then download the app through, your preferred app store. Either if you're on an iOS device, you can go to the Apple App Store, or if you're on an Android device, you can go to Google Play. And so once you've had a chance to do that, I want to show you, I want to show you the world trailer for the game. So
Is the AI similar or the same or different from the like iNaturalist ID system?
it's very similar. And I'll explain some of that.
Okay. Is this video supposed to have sound?
Are you hearing audio? That's too bad. Sorry.
I wouldn't have talked over if there was sound. I was like, uh-oh.
No, okay. So there's this really, anyway, you could look for it on YouTube and listen to it. But sorry about that.
It's okay.
Because I was having a hard time hearing it and then answering your questions.
Right.
But the idea is, yeah, I mean, I think what makes iNaturalist really powerful is you have a lot of people contributing data, but also people coming in and contributing their quote unquote labels, right? They're naming things. And the community is then creating artificial intelligence to help annotate imagery as it comes in. And so we're trying to do something very similar, except mostly in our case right now with Fathomverse is the data is coming from researchers and researchers from all over the world. And so the point of the game, right, and the tagline is explore the depths. We have a target audience of high school age players and up. We're really wanting to, energize and activate the ocean lovers, the animal lovers, the armchair explorers, but also really communities underrepresented in ocean science, right? I think a lot of us who might live really close to the ocean, it's easy for us to make this kind of like connection with the place. But in other places where you might not have the ocean, that can be really challenging. And so what we're trying to do is be inclusive and invite everyone into this mission of exploring the depths. And as I said earlier, it's a mobile phone or a mobile device app that you can download on either iOS or Android devices. And I want to say, like, very, very high level, the approach that we took here was, I mean, we based on a lot of feedback we were getting from individuals in our field, but also more broadly. Like we queried and reached out to enthusiast groups from all over the world. And what we found based on that feedback was that there were some themes that really seemed to uh, resonate with those folks. And they then culminated into these design pillars that you see here. So first and foremost, we thought it was really important to bring in an element of exploration. And so as part of this, the game player has agency to make decisions around what sorts of things they want to look at, or more specifically, what kinds of animals or missions they want to be searching for. We're also focused on blissful creativity or blissful productivity. The idea that, games, particularly video games, can be really, really like, suck you in for hours and hours and hours. That isn't something that we really wanted to promote. We wanted to create a really straightforward way for someone to casually play, which is the next pillar, but also, very quietly, but also, in the process be productive and help us with our challenge here. The other two pillars are really grounded in keeping things real, but also inviting everyone to come and be involved in an inspiring mission. And so, our inspiring mission as part of the game is to ask everyone to join us in helping us discover all ocean life. And we do this without a fictional premise, right? Game players are looking at real imagery collected by researchers from all over the world and helping us to understand what's in that imagery for us to, do these biological observations better and faster. And I just wanted to share some analytics or results. So we launched the game in May of this year. And since then, we have almost 12,000 people who have downloaded and used the game. They represent 130 different countries, which I am extremely excited about because, I really would love to have kind of a global conversation around ocean life. And so far, game players have helped us generate over 5 million annotations in that time. And because of that, we've have more than 20,000 images that have reached what is called consensus, right, or have been labeled by game players and are starting to be used by our researchers in our community. And the other really amazing thing is that I think the ocean community is so generous. Like they really want to be a part of this, and they also want to, connect a broad audience or a group of enthusiasts with what we're doing in the ocean. And so we have millions of images that are in the pipeline from our research partners. That includes Schmidt Ocean Institute, NOAA's Office of Exploration and Research, Ocean Networks Canada, the Ocean Observatories Initiative, Ocean Exploration Trust, and of course, MBARI, right? So it's an opportunity for people to be looking at imagery, and sometimes the first person looking at the imagery that might be in the game. And then last but not least, I wanted to show also we've made the game, but we're also making resources that can help educators use this game as part of an activity in the classroom. And so what you see here is a player contribution report where you can enter in a player ID, which is found in the app itself. And then this player contribution report will generate a page that tells you, what level did the game player make it? What kind of points do they have generated? The number of annotations that they've been able to contribute over a period of time. Your discoveries, so like how many images have you looked at that is awaiting consensus? And then this long, long table here on the left, what this is that shows you the different animal missions, the different number of images that you have labeled, and then also really importantly, how well you're doing. So what is your performance? And so that number, the score, incorporates accuracy, precision, and another quantity called recall. So how much are you missing when you're looking at images in the game? And so the idea here is, an educator can use this player contribution report and understand what their students might be contributing to the game, and then use that for evaluation or whatever you might need in the classroom. And so with that, I'm happy to, we can break now for any quick questions, but I'm also happy to show you, do like a walkthrough of the actual app itself.
Yeah, if there are any questions now, we can certainly answer them. If you want to put them either in the webinar chat or the Q&A. And if no questions come in, we can start playing in the game
Yeah.
itself. And no questions have come in yet.
All right. It might take me a while anyway to set up, so I'm happy to take a question if it comes
Here we
in.
go. Kelly asks, are students required to log in?
Uh, no. Well, so when they are assigned, when they open up the app, what happens is they are automatically assigned a player ID. And so that player ID is this number that then they use in the contribution report. So that there is no signing up that's involved. They just use that player ID to get more information.
Great. The next question comes from Kathy. Can they play on laptops instead of a device? Because there's no cell phones allowed at this school.
Yeah, so we've heard that from a number of educators, and there's a couple of caveats. So right now we only have it working on devices, but one of the things we're looking into is I don't know if you're familiar with Steam, but there's a way that you can get, normally device apps on your computer using Steam. And so that's something we're looking into now. And then someone else has also mentioned, well, can you just have it on like a website and have a game or, like students play via the website? And right now, that's kind of out of scope of the budget that we have. But the Steam approach might be the most realistic given kind of the level of effort that would be required to do that.
So the devices that can be used include phones and like our iPads. Does that work? iPads
Yep,
would
that
be awesome.
works. Yeah.
The
So
Chromebooks would
tablets.
be a no because that would be a browser. iPads would work. Cool.
Mhm.
Um, Zakia wants to know, could we use it in an other field? Which I'm guessing means like in the grass, or is it just the ocean? Just
Well,
ocean.
I'll show you what it looks like
Okay.
because it is it is right now primarily focused on the ocean. Um, and so let me, what are you seeing?
I see like whatever, including your email,
Okay.
uh, a Zoom audio. If you click
Okay.
Fathomverse, it'll show us just Fathomverse. It looks like a Zoom recording right now.
All right. I'm going to transition my audio. So
Okay,
give me 1 second.
sounds good.
All right. Can you hear me?
Can hear you.
All right. So I'm going to share my screen, start broadcast. All right. Can you hear?
I can hear you. I think if you, when you're doing the share screen, there's like a
Mhm.
little button at the bottom that says like share computer audio. In this case, it might be share phone audio. Um, so you might want to, I think to change that, you got to like stop sharing and then start resharing.
Okay.
Um,
How about this? Did that work?
I suspect it will. If you
So
go to
let's,
Fathomverse now, let's see what happens. I don't hear any audio from the phone.
oh no. All right. Well, you guys, sadly, you will not be able to hear it, but I recommend downloading it. The fun thing about the game, so this is the hub screen, and this is where, you jump off to all of the action. But in the settings in the top right, you have the option to change your music settings, and sound effect settings, but we also have these different ocean radio stations. So, Fathomverse, we also have hydrophone audio that's coming from one of MBARI's hydrophones that's located hundreds of meters deep. We also have a deep sea aquarium. So the Monterey Bay Aquarium gave us the soundtrack for Into the Deep exhibit. So, and then last but not least, lo-fi tides. So depending on what your vibe is, you have the option to listen to that. But so the whole point or the whole goal of Fathomverse as a game player is to, participate in this ocean life discovery process. And so you want to be really the first person to look at some of the imagery that's being collected by the ocean community. And the way you do that is actually in what we call expeditions. And so expeditions is the place where a game player is going to see mostly images that nobody's seen before. But in order to get there, you actually have to go through kind of a little bit of training. So a certification process, so to speak. And how is that? And so this is where I think that the big educational aspect of the game is as a game player, especially a new game player, you're learning about these different animal groups. You're learning specific features about them and how you distinguish them from other animals. And so the way you do this is let's select an animal mission. I'm going to open jellies because I'm a jelly person. And what you see right away is what we call mission briefings. And so these mission briefings provide educational content around these different animal groups that you might be seeing as part of playing the game. And so in this case, we have jellies with different scientific group names. We have really helpful illustrations that tell you about specific features about these animals and also how might they be distinguished, like what the range of these features might look like. And then we also offer example images of these animal groups, that fit this particular animal mission. And then I think really importantly, we share information on what might be confusing because there's a lot of lookalikes of animals in the ocean. And so making that really clear and explaining, what do you do when you see this particular animal, or what are some things to be aware of that will basically jump out at you and be sure that this is not pertaining to your animal group. So these are really helpful mission briefings. And so we have right now, I think almost 45 different animal groups. Here's the squid group, Sarah. And a representative image. We've got different features like their streamlined body, their eyes, fins, mantle, siphon, 8 arms, and a pair of tentacles. Some example images of squids with different, common names, but also species names, and then confusing lookalikes. We were talking a little bit earlier about vampire squid. Vampire squids are not actually squids. They reside in their own group. And so this is really helpful and informative. And so you can learn about all these different groups. And then during training, what you do is go on a dive. And this is where you start to look at imagery. But since you're training, you're looking at mostly imagery, if not all imagery, that a researcher or an expert has already seen before. And so in this example, you are floating around on currents. You are tapping your screen to emit a pulse. And the 3 animal missions that we're looking for, right, includes turtles, lobsters, and squids. And I just told you that a vampire squid is not actually a squid, so we don't really want to collect it here. But we can pulse and then open more things up. So this is a squid, right, Sarah?
Correct.
Then you would drag it onto your avatar, and then now that animal is collected. This example is a turtle, and the turtle is one of my active missions. Here's another one, and so on. And so, as part of training, what you're doing is you're focused on those 3 animal missions. You're collecting images as you go, and then once you are, maybe done, or ideally you've opened up all of the images that's in the dive, you would then hit that button in the top right, and then this will take you to the first, screen that shows points, right? The whole idea here is everything that you're doing is resulting in points or a contribution to the Fathomverse. And then this next screen will take you, and this is the opportunity for you to ID it, right? And so in this case, we're pretty certain. I mean, Sarah told me it's a squid, so I'm going to put the sticker on the squid, and now that animal is labeled. Here's a sea turtle. Here's a squid as well, but you know what? I think this is a really cool image. So I'm gonna favorite it by hitting that heart button, and then assign a squid. And we'll get back to what happens with favorites. Like this is actually fun. Who knew lobsters were so photogenic? Which squid is this one, Sarah? Do you know?
That's a strawberry squid.
Strawberry squid.
I should
And
know what squid that is, and I do
is
know,
this
but I can't access the word right now.
is it like Planktoteuthis or something? I
Plankoteuthis,
don't.
yeah. That's 100% Plankoteuthis, yep.
Is it? Okay.
Yep.
I'm not very good with my squids.
Yeah.
And so once you get through what we call labeling or assigning names to those images, you then finish. And so a really important part of this game that was really, important not only from kind of an educator or an education perspective, but also for people who wanted to know what their contributions were doing, is providing feedback. And so during training, because game players are looking at images experts have already identified, we can give feedback right away on how well they did. And so that would include things like here you see that the community agrees with me. If I got something wrong, it would say the community disagrees with you. And then there's also this field here, which says you missed these animals. And so these are animals that were present in the dive that I just didn't open the image or collect them for whatever reason. And so, this feedback is important because we want to let the game player understand, what do they know, what do they not know, and what might be some things that they can do to improve. But already the game player is getting points. And so that is an example of how you would do training. And the idea is that, you do a couple of those dives and then you get certified to be looking for that animal mission. And that allows you then to look for that animal in expeditions, which is again where, imagery that nobody has really seen before. And so the fun thing too about the Fathomverse game is the way we built this was so it could be extensible, right? So over time, we're envisioning, different mini games that game players can play that will either ID things or identify and locate them, different animals in images, etc. And so the way you're going to see this manifest itself in the game is these additional tiles that will accommodate different types of mini games. So I wanted to share with you another mini game called Illuminate. And in this case, this is expedition, right? So remember, we're looking for animals that we've already been certified for. And let me throw in squids because
For fun.
Sarah's here. And then I'm going to dive. And so the idea of this game is instead of floating around in currents, you are literally suspended in, water space. And similar to what we do for deep sea exploration, we're literally looking around with a flashlight trying to find life. And so here, we're looking for a sponge, sea stars, and squids. But that's an urchin. Maybe that's something I want to favorite. Here's another sea star. That's
Coral.
is that a feather star? Maybe. Let's see. I have no idea what that is. And I want to, I want to add that these are real images collected by researchers, right? These are not meant to be like documentary winning photos, right? These are the data that comes direct from the ocean, from our research vehicles or platforms, and it's very, very important that we train models, the artificial intelligence, on imagery like this because this is this is how we see or observe this life. And so being able to show those images and train those images with the AI is really, really important. But you go around, you search this whole space, you see that progress bar up there that tells you how many images you've opened up. But I'm going to leave early to save us some time. This is going to affect my score, but that's okay. And then here in expeditions, this is, I think, the big difference is not only can you ID things that are your 3 active missions, you also have this option of labeling them anything else that you might be certified for. So you'll see I've probably been certified for all of the animals because I'm a nerd and I've played this game a lot. But you can have, this is a sea star. I think this is a feather star. This is an amazing sponge. I think this is a black coral. Let me just do that really quick. I believe this is a shrimp, but I don't want to take that time. I'm just going to say none of these. This is another coral, but I'm going to say none of these. I think this is really pretty. I'm going to say this is a sea fan. And getting through that sponge and sea star and the last one. So then now, similar to what we saw before, but remember, we're looking at a lot of images that no one has looked at before. So meaning we don't actually know what the answer is. for those animals or for those images. But again, you're seeing feedback that says, the community agrees with me. So there are 3 images that I looked at there that a researcher has already labeled. There's 3 images that I missed because I didn't open up everything. But here at the bottom, and this is where I think I get really excited and other game players I've spoken with get really excited, is that there are images here that are unknown to the community, and you're among the first to see them. And what happens is once you add your label to those unknown images, your label becomes a vote. And then later your votes all get tallied up and consensus is reached. And when consensus is reached, right, which means the community has come up with a label, has agreed on a particular label to assign to an image, they will come up in this My New Discoveries. So if you click My New Discoveries, what's going to happen is it's going to retrieve data from Fathomverse, and then collecting all of the information or all of the consensus results. And then here you can see how well I did. So there's 9 out of 10 images where the community agrees with me. And there's this one. I said something is a sea fan, but Fathomverse actually says it's a soft coral. So I was wrong there. But say I was adamant that this is incorrect. You have the option to flag images, and that once an image gets a certain number of flags, those get escalated to experts that are then reviewing that. And so this is a way in which, we're able to, as a game player, not only look at imagery and add labels, but also correct existing labels that might be in the community resource. And so that's essentially how you play this game. I just want to add that there's awards, and as you progress in the game, you can unlock different things like exclusive videos of different animals or explainer videos that talk about how this game works. More recently, we started to release wallpapers, and even like coloring book pages. And so, pay attention to this award area because we can add awards as we go. And that could be coming from a lot of different sources, not just from within Fathomverse. I also want to say that, there's a vault where you can look at all of the awards that you've unlocked. You can go to the animal library wherever you are, like here. So again, as an educational resource, it's accessible on the hub as well as during training. And then also a fun thing here, and remember I favorited that image. So you have the option to go back to those images that you favorited and look at them. This is a sponge, which I couldn't believe how beautiful that image is. You can take a screen grab, share the images with friends and family, right? Create some buzz and interest around Fathomverse. And then last, but certainly not least, a big part of this is building community. And so the way that we're doing that now is by using that community button, which will take you to a Discord server for Fathomverse. And so here we have more than 600 people who've signed on. And here you get really neat, information about the game, like what is our progress, how many players have reached the highest level, how many images, like what is the leaderboard, who has contributed the most to the game, what images might need a lot of focus or what animal missions might need a lot of focus, that sort of thing. So to try and kind of build community around Fathomverse, share resources, but also like insight and love for these animals, right, that we get to see in the ocean. So with that, I'm happy to take any other questions.
Cool. We got a couple questions in here. Spencer wants to know, so the game currently incorporates photos from all around the world. Are there any specific regions that will be mapped in the future, or is it a fixed data set?
Can you say that again? Sorry.
The game currently incorporates photos from all around the world. Are there any specific regions that will be mapped in the future, or is this data set in the game fixed?
So data in the game is not fixed. And so there's new data contributions that are coming from our partners all the time. And I think that's what is really exciting about this is that as new expeditions go out and as researchers share their data with us, they can be brought into the game. I think I said earlier, we have over 1 million images that are staged and ready to go in the game. And, that will probably just continue over time.
Great. Our next question is if a student would like to use this for a science project, is it designed to be able to come up with an independent variable, for example, to compare the number of species discovered in two locations or not?
Yeah, not so much now. I think the that question kind of requires access to a different kind of database. And so there's examples of other databases out there that have what we call occurrence data sets. So that will tell you where you might have seen that particular animal, either a latitude and longitude location, and like where might that animal have gone or that animal group be observed in different places at different times. So examples of those data sets would be like the Global Biodiversity Information Facility or the Ocean Biodiversity Information System. I think that's what OBIS stands for. But really here as part of a project, what a student could potentially do is like search for only squids and get a sense for, how many squids might be in the data set, how many are known, how many are unknown, and then go from there. But, definitely something that we'd love to think about as we move forward is how do we integrate these different kind of data sets or approaches to help with experiential learning.
Cool. Great. The next question is from Dave. What is the best slash recommended way to review what students have been working on or to see their progress?
Yeah, so right now the best way, and let me share, I'll share my screen again because I think it's an important piece to go over in more detail. I just want to make sure I have the right thing open so you're not looking at something you don't want to see. So it's this player contribution report. And so the idea of this is, in the app that your student might be playing, you can get from them a player ID. And so that player ID, you just use that to enter into this. So you're going to see how well I've been doing because that's my player ID. And then when you click dive in, this page will generate a report that tells you the contribution of this particular person over time. And so here you see this 15. This is the level that I've made it to. I'm considered a denizen of the deep because I've made it to level 15. But then here you can see my contribution points. So how many points have I generated as part of playing the game? And then something that we've done more recently is we're starting to map your contribution points over a period of time. So you can see times whereby, I might have been more productive or I might have spent more time because I had an assignment or something, right? And so the idea here is this plot will track that contribution over time. The other thing that you see here in this pie chart, it has to do with your new discoveries. So like how many images have I looked at that was like we didn't have an answer to, and I gave it a label, and my label matched the consensus. So here I have like 30, almost 3,500 that are correct. I have almost 2,000 images that are awaiting consensus. So we haven't, come up with an agreed upon label yet with the community. And then I've been wrong. I've been wrong more than 100 times, right? And so this is one thing to be aware of. And then here, this table on the left, this really gives a sense for, how many dives did I do with sea fans? How many positive labels? So how many images did I assign a label to that's called the sea fan? And then here, my score. This tells you this aggregate number between precision, accuracy, and then recall of 96% or 97%. And so this table will show, your how well you're doing for each of these groups. Like you can see, I struggle a little bit with black coral. I struggle a lot more with isopods. Stony coral are confusing. I don't care who you are. And then acorn worms. I just don't get worms. So anyways, like this, the idea here is, right now it's just a format where you can take a look and generate these plots. Where we're moving towards is creating kind of a downloadable report version so that as a student or as an educator, I can enter in my player ID and download a page that I can hand over to a teacher or for an assignment or for volunteer hours, that sort of thing. So this is, I would say, the best way to be able to either to evaluate or track progress and contributions to the game.
And Dave wants to know where on the app can users find their ID number?
Yeah. So let's see. I will try. Um, well, I can tell you if you are on the hub and you get to the settings page. So the settings page is there's going to be on the left, kind of upper part, is going to give you the player ID number.
Great.
And it
Uh,
tends to be like four numbers followed by a letter or something.
Great.
Mhm.
Linda makes a really good point. I'd love to show the kids the score of a professional so they can see that even professionals make mistakes. I think that's a really important thing for students to see.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you were to just take that number, which is my player ID, I can't say that I'm a professional animal identifier, but you can see where I'm struggling. So 6886.
Yeah, and even professional animal identifiers are tend to be better at some animals than others because they have the things that they know and things
Yeah.
that they're like, oh, we can't know everything. None of us can know everything.
No. No. Yeah, we definitely have specialties.
Yeah,
And my specialties are, I would say, mostly jellies, gelatinous things that are floating in midwater.
yeah. Great. Well, these sessions typically last about 45 minutes, and we are coming up on 45 minutes now. If anybody has any more questions, now would be a great time to get those in. Oh, here we go. If multiple students are using one iPad, they'll all have the same user ID. That's
They
okay.
will. Yeah,
Okay.
they will, unfortunately. I mean, something that we've tried to look into is having separate logins.
Uh-huh.
But that unfortunately really drives up the cost of the app development. And so we haven't been
Interesting.
able to do that yet.
Huh. I mean, we don't have logins for Skype Assigned either because we also couldn't afford a fancier system.
It's just the situation.
That's
I
why
mean,
we're free, right? Yeah. All right. And then Lydia also wants to know, please excuse if you addressed this already, but are there any lesson plans available for implementation in the classroom?
this is a great question. This is something we're wanting to work on now. And so we're happy to collaborate with a champion educator if they want to do that. I know we've spoken with a couple university professors who are in the process of doing that, but we haven't been able to do K-12 or high school and up yet. But yeah, stay tuned. I would say that's definitely something on our radar.
Cool. Relatedly, Anne Sophie has a question. Is there a place on the Discord where we could share more structured activities we've developed so others can use them too?
Absolutely. And Lily is actually in the chat. So
Oh,
she's the
great.
one who manages or oversees the Discord. So, we could potentially do something like add a channel for those resources if we want to aggregate them.
Cool. Miranda wants to know who created the app?
Oh, we did in collaboration with a game design studio in the Netherlands called Ant Ranch.
Cool.
Mhm.
Miranda also wants to know, could it be modified to ID plant photos or reptiles, for example, for other science organizations?
So that's a great question. These kinds of apps could essentially be doing that. It really all depends on what the baseline data set is that you're feeding into the game. So in our case, we're really focused on ocean life, and we're using a baseline data set called FathomNet, if you want to take a look at that. And there's other data sets that groups could potentially be using in games like this.
Great. All
Mhm.
right. Any final questions? Sounds good. All right. So everybody, thank you for coming today. Thank you, MBARI, for sharing with this with us. This is so cool. I had it downloaded on my phone, but I didn't go through the training because I had professional responsibilities, unfortunately. But it makes me want to play it with it so much more. Very cool. Everybody, teachers, we are going to be doing a demo specifically for students on October 2nd, exactly the same right here, but the presentation will be more geared toward students instead of you all. And it'll be Kakani again, so like same crew plus an ASL interpreter. So look forward to that. Otherwise, if you could tell some other teachers that our program Skype a Scientist exists, that would be wonderful. We're trying to hit 5,000 classrooms this year. We're currently right around like 2,500. So it's like we've done one semester and we're halfway there. So as a reminder, we match scientists with classrooms like yours, libraries, scout troops, anybody who wants to talk to a scientist, we will match you up with a scientist volunteer for Q&A sessions. You can sign up at skypeascientist.com, click sign up, and then sign up. It is all free. So please make use of us. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience?
No, I mean, thank you so much for joining. Do reach out. We're very easy to find on the internet or send an email to, I think, Fathomverse at MBARI.org if you have any ideas or, things you think we should improve upon or work on or collaborate. We're really excited to get Fathomverse out and into the hands of a lot of people.
Awesome. Thank you for the work you're doing over there. This has been super fun. All right. We'll see y'all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.